Happy Thursday evening, everybody. Welcome to Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Glad you're with us. OSR takes on Kansas here for the penultimate race of the season here for the Xfinity group. Ryan Pelfrey, Lane Hoser are going to start out front. Aaron Jackson, Scott Formosa, Steve Whitmore, your top five. Russ Despain, Derek Grigsby, Brad Lee, Brian Torrey, David Moore, your top 10 as they get ready to take on the exciting Kansas racetrack here. This is, again, you've heard me talk about it over the last couple weeks on Turn 1. These cookie cutter mile-and-a-half racetracks have really aged up and put on a heck of a show. And guess what? We're here to go racing. Green flag is out. OSR Xfinity action is live. Off down into turn one, Ryan Pelfrey able to get clear of Aaron Jackson. Jackson now free of Hosler as well as they work through 3 and 4 for the first time here tonight. Off the quarter, overcast here. A little bit darker on the stream than it actually is in the sim. As it's a side-by-side battle, that's Jackson on the high side, that's Hosler on the bottom. Working that mid-groove all the way around this Kansas racetrack. And you know what? I just looked up, and I see the one, the only Bobby Jackson in the Facebook chat. Miss Jackson, thank you so much for being here. It's been a weird not having you around lately. As Aaron's going to let Lane Hosler slide on by, at least coming through the tri-oval there. Meanwhile, Ryan Pelfrey, he's got a mirror full out back with Hosler right there at his tire tracks. Jackson sitting on the outside. It's pretty much a 4-wide, 3-wide, or 3-way battle here for this, the entire top five. As Formosa now slides up into the pocket looking for a piece of this action. Jackson gets off the corner, out of turn number 4 with a big lift, or a big lead there. And now he's going to challenge on that outside line. Ryan Pelfrey there for the lead as they work down the backstretch here. Jackson out front by a car length, and Pelfrey's going to lose the lead, and he may lose just more than that as we have a new leader here for the first time on lap number 4. It's Aaron Jackson to the point. Formosa now looking to the outside on P2. Formosa deep to the outside, very similar line to Aaron Jackson as they work through, or as they work down and around turn 1 and 2. A really interesting line here as Jackson runs the fastest lap of the race. Last time by a 30.79 is Hosler here. He has fallen back to 4th, but we have seen this out of that 61 car. Really impressive race, racer, this driver here. Hosler looking right now just to hang tight, no reason to overdrive it, overpush it too much, and sitting P4 right now, started second. Formosa still sitting on that outside line right there, and Pelfrey sitting on the inside, just hanging tough. No reason to push here early, but again, you've got to get what you can get with these OSR guys. A lot of tough racing. As we look a little further back, that's Russ Despain and Steve Whitmore. They're side by side. Or I'm sorry, that's Steve Whitmore there in front of Russ Despain. That's Brad Lee. And Russ Despain right there at that 83 U.S. General car of Brad Lee. Looking pretty tough. I like those great colors on that car as they work down into 3 and 4 here. And then just behind him, that's Derek Grigsby, Brian Torrey, and David Moore also right in the middle of this pack. Meanwhile, Aaron Jackson's spread his wings a little bit and move out 0.8 of a second over Scott Formosa. Everybody settling in here as we work lap 8 of 100 at Kansas. Again, the second to last race of the season for these drivers. They're getting ready to send this off to Vegas just next week for the final race, as Hosler's going to look to the outside of Ryan Pelfrey as they come back down the front stretch. The OSR Xfinity action going to come to a close here on Thursday night on Turn 1, but stay tuned. We got a little bit of an announcement coming up here probably tomorrow in regards to what racing coverage could look like pretty much throughout the remainder of the year, including big plans for 2026. So stay tuned to the Facebook page of Turn 1 Broadcasting for all the latest info. Ryan Pelfrey's going to slide back to fourth. Now Hosler starting to stretch it out just a little bit. Again, he really impressive, able to just, no reason to push the car too hard here. You knew these drivers were probably overdriving it just a little bit. He was right there in line as one of the fastest in the top 5. As we look a little further back, Whitmore now starting to pressure Ryan Pelfrey as they work down into turn number 3. Meanwhile, looking ahead, Aaron Jackson's now widened that gap over Scott Formosa, 1.1 seconds. As Hosler slides by a 31.19, the fastest, or 31.30 rather, there for Hosler. The fastest lap time on the track. Again, Lane Hosler, the fastest driver out here as they work lap number 11. Let's ride on board while we've got the opportunity. Well, actually, before I say that, a little bit of a three-way, two-way, three-way, four-way battle back here. This is Derek Grigsby, Brian Torrey, Brad Lee. All back here battling for that 7th place spot. Oh, in the mirror of Russ to Spain. They're going to take it 2 wide, nearly 3 wide coming across the stripe. Torrey's going to settle back in, but that's Grigsby on the bottom. And Grigsby on the bottom, Russ to Spain on the high line. As Grigsby's going to slide by, Brad Lee's going to look to open or walk through the open door as well as they come down the backstretch. Not going to be able to complete that pass. Again, as we look up front, Aaron Jackson out 1.6 seconds out front, setting a gap on Scott Formosa. Lane Hosler riding right here just to the inside. He's caught up with that 80 car rather. And let's ride on board with Hosler. An impressive season so far, turning some quick laps here at Kansas. A little bit of bumper brush with the wall Formosa made as he rolled through the tri-oval here. Last time by, we go back up front. Jackson now out front, 1.4 over Lane Hosler, but that lead's going to start to be eaten into just a little bit here. Last time, a 31.72 for Aaron Jackson, a 31.62 for Lane Hosler, 1/10 faster, so Lane's going to start to eat into that gap that the 12 car has out there as they work here lap number 17. Fuel run here tonight is going to be right around 35 to 45 laps, so we'll see drivers start to come down pit road, and these cars are now starting to transition. The grip's starting to wear out a little bit as, again, it's a pretty tight battle back here right behind the 5th place driver of Steve Whitmore. That's Derek Grigsby, Despain, Torrey, and Lee all battling it out back here and not getting too far away from each other. David Morris settled into that 10th place position as everybody's starting to adjust to how this car is going to handle on the long run. Go back towards P2. That's Hosler settled into P2, starting to continue to eat away at that. The driver of the 12 cars lead 1.1 seconds now. Out front is Jackson. This is Aaron Jackson's type of car. I've said it many a times. I've known Jackson for many years, and he is a fan of the B car, as am I. I do really enjoy this racing in this car. A lot of power, and for the most part, a lot of fun. And him and I kind of came up through the ranks one another in the Open Series, and this track kind of lends to Aaron, not necessarily technical, but you got to be pretty, act with a little bit of precision here. And right now, leading the laps early for OSR Xfinity action right here on Turn 1, Aaron Jackson continues to look ahead and try to find some speed. Finding some speed to 33 car of Ryan Pelfrey. He started up there on the pole and not found a whole lot of it. He settled into 4th place. Pelfrey now has got Steve Whitmore right in the rear view there. As it, a lot of drivers, we just saw Formosa make contact with the wall once again. Here comes Pelfrey deep on the inside. He's going to have to drive off the corner he needs to try to make that pass. And Pelfrey now is going to squeeze by Formosa, and Steve Whitmore's also going to try to do the same. Wow, the getting's good. And Formosa's going to slide all the way back to 5th place. Back up front here once again. Now that gap is slowly shrunk down here. Within 0.8 of a second. And Aaron Jackson now sees Lane Hosler start to get a little bigger in the mirror. And Aaron did a really good job, again, jumping out here early and getting his lead and starting to walk away, but those tires are going to reel him back in. And the amount of time he's losing right now, last time by a 30.79 for Jackson, a 30.88 for Hosler. So a little bit of a slower pace here, but this you've got to, at this rate, you're going to be on these tires for another 20 laps, and the car is going to continue to get tighter, and you're going to need the grip. So we'll see what Jax can do to hang on to that top spot. While we've got another chance here, let's ride on board a couple more drivers. Let's do so. The driver of the 5, that's Derek Grigsby. He's sitting in 6th place right now, up 2 spots on the night. Let's ride on board. On board there, we rode with Grigsby, but back up front, Aaron Jackson's got some company as he comes across the stripe here, lap number 28 of 100 at Kansas. And Lane Hoser's going to look to take that top spot away here, as I think we just saw Formosa lose it in the tri-oval. He's going to get it back collected and back rolling there. But Jackson now is going to have Hoser really starting to gain here 0.3 of a second. It's we're running out of interval now. It's car lengths, and it's about 5 of them, Aaron. Got to put the foot down there just a little harder. While we doing that, let's take a quick look and find out what happened with Formosa. Oh, he got that car super sideways off of 4. That is indicative of the right rear on that tire slowly starting to wear. Got loose there. Formosa's going to fall back to 10th. As Hoser's now within a car length. Right down to the bottom of the white line. Jackson's going to hold his own right there towards the middle of the track across the stripe. Off into 1 and 2. A little bit of a wiggle there out of Hoser, maybe finding a little bit of dirty air. He's going to actually back off a 10. As Scott Formosa's going to come down pit road for service. He's going to be the first driver on new tires here as they roll off at turn 4. Jackson going to bring that line down just another lane or so while Hoser's there. And keep in mind, in this situation, that 61 has had to drive a little bit harder than Jackson for the last 10, 15 laps to get up there. But now that he's there, a little bit of a wiggle there out of Hoser. I think he expected the 12 to get off the quarter a little bit better now. It's a side-by-side battle here for the lead. As they work through 3 and 4, Hoser with a nose out there. But it's going to be a drag race. Hoser all the way down to the apron. We'll see them use that occasionally here at Kansas. And he's going to be able to use it and get a little bit of momentum. Jackson is going to surrender that top spot and fall in line. We have a new leader here, lap number 32. That's Lane Hoser. Taking a look back here through the field, Brian Torrey, Dave Morris settled into 9th. Formosa. It looks like he is going to call it an evening. He fired off quick, but unfortunately not going to have a whole lot of, didn't have a whole lot of speed there and was fighting the car quite a bit. He's going to settle in for a 10th place finish. And everybody else mostly single filed out. Going to step away here for just a moment, but the cameras will roll on. Green flag action and pit stops on the way. You're watching Ohio Sim Racing live on Turn 1. What a wild send-off into turn one was Aaron Jackson. He sent it all the way up to the wall. The dirt drivers like to say they jumped the cushion. Well, Aaron was not far from it there. He's going to hang on to P3. Ryan Pelfrey's going to move into that second place spot now. Hoser's out front, 1.7 seconds over Pelfrey. Pelfrey sitting P2. Aaron Jackson, Russ Spain, Steve Whitmore, your top 5. Derek Grigsby and Brad Lee, Brian Torrey, your top 8. David Moore's been down pit road already. He came down lap 33. New tires for that driver of the 00. We'll see if that can help wick up them lap times just a smidge. As this is going to, everybody's pretty much spread out here in Kansas. No pressure. A little bit of a lower car count here tonight for OSR, but that just allows these drivers to put on a show. Taking a look up front, we were talking about how Ryan Pelfrey got around Aaron Jackson here just a little while ago. Well, he's actually started to wear into that gap on Lane Hoser just a little bit. It was 1.7 seconds. Let's look at the lap times as they come screaming by here at the start-finish line. Hosler, a 32.19. Ryan Pelfrey put a 32.05 in. So the driver of the 33 has got something figured out and has wore that interval down to 1.5 seconds. That'll be a story to continue to pay close attention to. Again, as everybody is single filed out here. Let's continue as we approach halfway here. Let's continue to ride on board with a couple drivers. Let's this time tag on with that 12 car of Aaron Jackson. Coming down pit road, Lane Hosler gets slowed up as he is going to hit pit road for his service. Ryan Pelfrey had caught up to that driver, and now Ryan has taken the lead here, lap number 53 of 100. OSR Xfinity coverage live on turn 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for being here. Pelfrey and Jackson stay out while Despain, Whitmore, they're on pit road for their service as well, for the attention of their crew for the first time here tonight. Brad Lee's also coming down pit road. Torrey just wrapping up that service. Hoser still on pit road here. This is taking a little longer than I think that driver expected. We'll have to look at here lap times and what that was. No, pit lane is about a 15-second stop. Yep, that was about normal for Hosler. He's going to come out P3, but now here comes Ryan Pelfrey and Aaron Jackson to pit road. 4 tires and fuel. This is going to complete the green flag pit stop sequence right past the halfway point of tonight's Ohio Sim Racing Xfinity Series right here on turn 1. As Hosler has got those new Goodyears and on a roll here. He is going to work himself all the way back around the racetrack through the start-finish line. I believe he is going to catch up. Ryan Pelfrey is now just right there to the bottom of turn 1. And here comes Hosler. He's going to take that lead away only by about a lap, the tire difference here. So not a big factor in the position of these two drivers as everybody free and clear gets off pit road. Hosler's going to retake the lead. And now what you've got is what you've got. And if you're the driver of the 61, you know the 33 was able to drive up there. We also saw Lane have to, again, drive forward to run down Aaron Jackson there in the first half of this race. So who is going to maintain the wits about them? You want to be careful here. Use the tire. Be respectful to it. As they work across a stripe here, because you've got what you've got. No sign of any caution so far. 7 cars remain on the lead lap as everybody has wrapped up their pit service of Derek Grigsby. He's having a great night so far. He's up 4 spots on the evening, sitting in 4th. Russ Despain's back behind him, but only about 2 seconds or so. And Jackson out front, 0.9. So Grigsby looking to gain another spot or 2 before it's all said and done. Let's ride on board here one more time with Derek Grigsby as he works on the outside. I believe that was of David Moore. A bit of battle here for the lead as laps start to tick down at Kansas. Pelfrey was able to get by Hoser, but Hoser's not going to let that stand for long. As they're going to come back to the stripe, it's going to be 35 to go here in Kansas. And, well, Hoser's right back here, caught up with the 33. Ryan this time put the turbojets on, got back up there up front and ran around Hoser, but maybe now trying to run Hoser to drive those tires a little bit more, maybe a little bit of a weakness exposed out of those drivers, or out of that driver. They saw how he fell off there pretty hard at the very end, but now Pelfrey tried to make him run for it. Just half a car length, and then Aaron Jackson sitting P3, and he's starting to come up into the picture here. All of this happening is, again, we are working here about 35 laps to go tonight for Ohio Sim Racing Xfinity action on turn 1. Again, hello everyone, I'm Sean Fitz. Glad you're with us. I was actually just talking to a couple drivers right before the start of the show and talking about OSR and their plans moving forward. So it sounds like this group has got a big plan in place, ready to go winter racing in a couple different formats and a couple different cars. I would strongly encourage everybody head on over to OhioSimRacing.com for all the latest information, including checking out their Facebook page after next week's Xfinity Series Championship here on Turn 1 out of Las Vegas. They're going to go get ramped up for a couple, I think, street stocks and maybe some truck season, something. There's a couple options on the table if you want to race with the guys over at OSR. Again, OhioSimRacing.com for more information. Hosler, Pelfrey, they continue to battle it out here within a car length one another. This is the 61 sitting right on the bumper of the 33, but don't look now, gentlemen. The driver of that 12 car, he's on the move. He is starting to drive forward. That gap was pretty extensive back there up until goodness, about what, 2 laps ago. Aaron Jackson's got the heat turned up in the 12 and starting to run down Hoser, and he's going to be there. He's going to catch him, and then it's going to be a 3-way battle for the lead here as you see Jackson start to come into the picture. All the way down to the grass goes Pelfrey, trying to drive off the track or down the track to get as much RPM out of the car as he possibly can. Pelfrey's right there to the bumper. But again, Jackson on the full push here to run down these drivers. Hoser starting to look now down to the inside of Pelfrey. Pelfrey takes it all the way again to the white line, trying to gather as much speed as he possibly can. Jackson now is only about 3 car lengths back here off the bumper of the 61, and he's got this fight in the windshield. He sees these two have been battling quite a bit. Has anybody been saving anything? Well, we're going to find out as they're going to come to the stripe. 29 to go. Let's ride on board the 12 as he continues to work the gap here, run down the gap of our 2 drivers battling for the lead here tonight in Kansas. Jackson is now essentially there. Lane Hoser's moved up to the high line. Ryan Pelfrey down to the bottom as they work here to come back across the stripe. That's going to be 27 to go. And Hoser now looking to the outside of Pelfrey. He's going to want to get this pass done fairly quickly because Jackson's just in the rearview mirror. He is waiting for an opportunity to slide by whatever happens up front here as Pelfrey again right down to the bottom. Half a car length. Hoser has the lead off into 3 and 4. The 61 showing some impressive momentum off the corner on that high line, finding a little bit of a different place to run. Pelfrey right down to the grass, but he's going to fall in line here to the leader. Now Jackson, he's going to move up to that very high line. We've seen him run that a couple times right there above that white striped line as he works out of 1 and 2. Oh, and Pelfrey's going to move down to try to block him. Jackson's not going to let that get in his way, and he is going to try to take that spot away. Indeed, he's going to. Now Aaron Jackson moving up to P2. And now, well, he's going to, I thought he was going to move into P2. Pelfrey's going to give him a little bit of a hassle there on the bottom. Jackson's going to run that high line here once again, right up to the wall through the middle of the quarter. Now that's going to comfortably put him in the lead, but he has already got a half a second gap up to Hoser to run down before it's all said and done. Now that that top fight is settled out, let's poke through the field here and do another quick rundown. Aaron Jackson, as I mentioned, up one spot here, sitting third. Ryan Pelfrey back down to third at the moment, down 2 spots. Rusty Spain is up 2 spots, sitting fourth, and then Steve Whitmore in the 5th place position, right there where he qualified tonight. Darren Grigsby, again, is having a decent night in that 5 car, up 2 spots, sitting 6th. Then Bradley 7th. Brian Torrey is sitting 8th currently, and then Dave Moore, Scott Formosa have called it in the evening. Closing in here on 23 to go as they come across the stripe. Hoser out front. Pelfrey is still hanging close to that 12 cars bumper. Aaron has been getting through 1 and 2 fairly quick, but it looks like Ryan Pelfrey's got him figured out down to 3 and 4. Jackson's going to slide down to the bottom this time by. Try to keep that 33 at bay. He's going to be able to do so as he works on corner exit. As Ryan Pelfrey continues to grow his lead now up to 7/10 of a second. Now out front on Aaron Jackson. Let's ride on board with Rusty Spain a moment here. He's sitting in that 4th place position, just running his own race. Let's ride on board the 50 car for a few laps here around Kansas. Working 8 laps to go here for tonight's OSR Xfinity action. Here on turn 1 at Kansas. Hosler out front, but Ryan Pelfrey, he has stepped it up a little bit. Last time by a 10th faster. That gap only about half a second. Pelfrey looking to make a late race charge here with 7 to go. Aaron Jackson sitting P3. Rusty Spain, Steve Whitmore, your top 5. And it's going to all be about this front row battle here. Pelfrey all the way up against the high line here. And drivers like Pelfrey do that to have the momentum. You want as much speed as you possibly can get down this long straightaway here on the backstretch. But what that does is require you to lift earlier on quarter entry, and it is also the longer way around this racetrack. That is something to consider. Every foot matters here. It is a race of inches, and you are certainly adding to the overall length on the outside. Running up there is Pelfrey. Last time by a 31.96 to Lane Hoser's 32.16. So again, that gap has shrunk right back down to right around 2/10. Pelfrey following right in the tire tracks of Hoser as they both run the identical line off the corner here. And down to the start-finish line, both of them go down past that white stripe right there above the grass with 5 laps to go. Aaron Jackson, he's back about 2.5 seconds behind this group, so this will be the battle for the finish. Side by side, Pelfrey now back to the outside, Hoser down to the bottom. They're going to come across the stripe here. This will be the 4 to go. And I would not be shocked to see Pelfrey right here faster again. And we're going to see that. Hoser a 32.38, Pelfrey a 32.17. 0.2 of a second faster Pelfrey. Starting to really eat in now. And this is no longer just working away. This is at a full threat here as Pelfrey runs right to the bumper of Hoser. He actually gets a little tight. He has to let the car unwind a little bit towards the high line. That's going to give Hoser an opportunity to start to drive away. They're going to come to the stripe here. That's 3 laps to go. Pelfrey's going to sit it in high. So is Hoser. That's going to actually change the arrow on the 33. But Pelfrey gets into the gas a little bit more there in the middle of the corner. Hoser is going to try to hold him off, but Pelfrey's going to be right there as they work quarter entry off into turn 3. Pelfrey again gets a little snug down there, 3 and 4. He's going to lose some time. Hoser's going to come down. He's going to lead another one. 2 laps to go. They're going to have to contend with potentially some lap traffic as Pelfrey goes deep to the outside above the white stripe line there. He's going to have 2 more shots here. But the last 2 times, Pelfrey has really struggled mid of 3 and 4 here. We're going to see if it happens again. Pelfrey, a little bit of a better quarter entry here. Can he hold off and pick the throttle back up? He can. He's going to be able to stabilize. Now he's got to get 1 and 2 just right. The white flag is out one more time around here in Kansas. Both drivers go to the high line. Pelfrey a little bit higher. All the RPM he could possibly get. He's going to have 1 attempt. He's going to be to the inside. Great drive off the corner goes Pelfrey. He is going to be down to the bottom of the racetrack. Sends it deep down into 3 and 4. But he's got to hang on to it. And Hoser's going to have the RPM in the car. It's going to be a big run here to the end. Pelfrey's going to move down to the bottom and block, and he's going to take the victory here in Kansas. A wild last lap pass is going to wrap it up here for the OSR Xfinity Series at Kansas, and Ryan Pelfrey is going to be your winner. Lane Hoser, Aaron Jackson, Rusty Spain, Steve Whitmore, your top 5. Derek Grigsby, Bradley, Brian Torrey, Dave Moore, and Scott Formosa, the top 10 here. What a wild race in the books for OSR. And with that, we are going to bid you adieu. They're going to get ready as Pelfrey's going to get ready to burn it down here. These drivers will be back live on turn 1 in just 1 week's time at Las Vegas to wrap up the season. Who's going to be in victory lane around Sin City? who's going to get lucky? We're going to find out in 1 week's time. Again, Ryan Pelfrey, last lap pass, pulls it off here at Kansas. On behalf of the league admins, I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time for more racing action. Good night, everybody.